Hello, my name is Brian Kinney and I'm a Striven ERP advisor, and welcome to our company culture lesson where we will be discussing company asset management. Topics today will include asset categories, the assets list, asset creation, reservations, and fleet maintenance. So with that, let's get started. Now before we get too involved in creating and managing our company assets, let's first go into the settings and see what we can configure with our company assets. To do that, let's click the Company tab and Settings from the drop-down. Next, click Company section, and underneath the assets we have categories, and we'll start our journey here. One thing you can do within Striven to set up your company assets for success is categorize them appropriately to fit your company's needs. For instance, here I have a parent category called Computers, but if I expand that, I can see I have iPads underneath. If we need to add a new category, I can simply type in the category name here and click the Add button to accomplish this. Once the new category is added, you'll see it below in your list. And if you'd like to add a subcategory, you can simply type in the name here, click Add, and to note a parent category, simply click and hold the subcategory, hover over the parent category, and release. This will allow you to capture a parent and subcategory as shown here. If we want to, we can expand to show all of our categories or collapse just to see a detailed view of the parent categories if desired. Now that we set up our company asset categories, let's next venture to the company assets list. To do this, click the Company tab and click List underneath the Assets section. This will bring you to your list of company assets. And all the assets you have so far will be listed underneath. And columns here include the asset name, the asset type, the category of the company asset, the asset status, whether it's in service, retired, etc., the current asset availability, and if there's a name here, that means it's either reserved or checked out. You can view the calendar for the company asset, view the log, check out or reserve the company asset as well as deactivating by using the trash can icon. You also have numerous search filters up top, so you can search for the asset info, the asset type, the asset category, and you'll see here our new categories are shown in the drop-down accordingly, your asset status, and whether it's active or inactive. If you would like to add a brand new company asset, simply click the Add button at the top of the list. This will bring you to the Add Asset page where you can begin configuring your new company asset. To begin, choose the type of company asset you're adding. There are two choices here, a company asset and a fleet asset. An example of a company asset would be a piece of equipment, whereas a fleet asset would be a service or work vehicle. If you're adding a vehicle, choose Fleet Asset from the drop-down. Then simply enter the name of the fleet asset you're adding. Once you have the name down, then you can follow down below and add your category. Since we added vehicles with a subcategory of service, we'll choose service from the drop-down. Next, we can enter our short description for the asset. This briefly describes what the asset will be used for. Then you can choose when you purchase the asset by using the calendar function. You can go backwards or forward in time and choose the appropriate date from the drop-down. If you would like to capture the purchasing price, you can enter that here. You can also track the current value of the asset, as well as the recommended miles when maintenance is needed, and the starting odometer reading. On the right-hand side of the Add Asset page, you can also note whether this needs checkout confirmation or return confirmation. Checkout confirmation means that when somebody clicks the checkout hyperlink, they will need to next confirm their checkout before they can use the company asset. Likewise, the return confirmation means that once they click the return hyperlink, they'll next need to confirm their return in order to allow another user to use the company asset. If you would like that workflow to be turned on, you can simply toggle on the appropriate boxes. You can also upload a picture of the asset by clicking the Upload button and choosing a file from your computer. The allowed file extensions are seen here, and the max file size per file uploaded is 100 megabytes. Once the image is uploaded, it will appear on the Add Asset page, as demonstrated here. When you've configured all your information, simply click the Save button to save the company asset. Once the company asset is saved, you'll see the current asset status as available. You'll also be able to see the calendar for the company asset, be able to reserve the asset, and also see the audit log to view any changes that have occurred with the asset itself. You also have a hub where you can add documents and folders related to the asset itself. This could be a user manual or common practices for operating the company asset. You can also see asset return uploads. Here you'll be able to see any documents uploaded when the company asset is returned, which we'll talk about a little later on in the video. If we go back to the basic info page, we'll be able to configure and manage any information related to the company asset as needed. But if we're ready, we can click Save and Close to go back to the assets list, and here we'll see the new company asset on our list, as well as the asset type, category, the status, availability, and all the common actions such as the calendar, the view log, be able to check out and reserve the asset. If you would like to check out a company asset, you can begin by clicking the Checkout button on the appropriate asset. This will initiate a pop-up with all the basic information about the asset checkout. Here, the employee name will default to the person who is checking out the company asset, but this can be changed by erasing the employee's name and choosing the appropriate employee from the drop-down. You can also change the asset name will default to the asset you're checking out, and the reservation date and time will be locked as it will auto-calculate the time when the checkout hyperlink was clicked. But here you can choose the customer you're going to be working with while the asset is checked out, as well as the expected return date and time. To choose a customer, you can type ahead to find the appropriate customer you're going to be working with, and select it from the drop-down to associate the customer to the checkout. To associate a return date and time, you can click the calendar icon to choose a date and a time by clicking the clock function and choosing a time that you estimate to return the asset. You can also enter notes below to detail why you're checking out the asset or what you're going to be using it for. Once you're ready, simply click the Save and Close button and you'll return to the list, and here we'll see the current asset availability has a name in the column because now the asset is not available, and this is the user who has the asset at the time. Likewise, if we click the View Calendar hyperlink, we'll be able to view the asset availability and see the block where the asset is checked out and who has it checked out. We can also view the log to see when the asset was checked out by who and the date that the checkout was created. You can also reserve the asset on this list, and to do so, click the Reserve Asset on the company asset you would like to reserve on a future date. This will initiate a pop-up with all the same basic information that we saw before in the checkout screen. However, this time, the reserve date and time is not locked, and you can change this to a future date. You can also change the date in which you expect to return the asset as well. You can associate a customer and enter any notes that you need to as well. Once you've entered all the information about your reservation, click Save and Close and you'll be returned to the list. And if the reservation occurs on the day you're viewing it, you'll be able to see the name of the individual who has reserved the asset. And just like the checkout process, if we click View Calendar, we'll be able to see when the asset has been reserved. Apart from checking out and reserving assets from the company assets list, you can also view the reservations page for company assets as well. To do this, click the Company tab and choose Reservations underneath Assets. Here you'll be able to see all the assets that have either been checked out or reserved. For instance, here we can see the top asset is the utility van that we checked out earlier, and the status is checked out, whereas the iPad Pro is an asset that we reserved, therefore the status says reserved. The utility van is the asset that we recently added, and we toggled on the option to confirm checkout. And we can see that option on the far right of the reservation list. And if I click Confirm Checkout, we'll be asked if we want to confirm that we're checking out the asset or not. If we click cancel, we will be brought back to the list with the same hyperlink we see here. If we click OK, the hyperlink will now change to return. And just like the checkout confirmation, if we click return, this will initiate a pop-up in which we'll have to fill out the miles that we drove the fleet asset for, the odometer reading after we returned it, and using this hyperlink we can attach documents related to the checkout as well. This could range from an image of what we performed or a receipt for anything that we purchased. And if we hover over the eye, we can see all the allowed file extensions, and the max file size per file upload is 10 megabytes. We can also enter notes here to detail our checkout and return for the company asset. When we're ready, simply click Save and Close. And now we can confirm the return of the company asset. And we'll have the same question that we saw when we checked out, except now this is asking if we're ready to return the asset. And by clicking OK, the asset will be removed from our reservations list as we've confirmed the return process. If you have not enabled Confirm Checkout or Confirm Return, you will only have two hyperlinks available. One for checkout, as we can see with the iPad Pro, and another for return. On the reservations list, there are also numerous search fields available, so you can search for the asset info, the asset type, the status, whether it's reserved, checked out, returned, confirmed return, canceled, or confirmed checkout. And if we click the blue down arrow, we can see even more search filters to narrow down our list for who reserved the asset, who they reserved the asset for, and the date of the reservation. There are also hyperlinks here to view the asset information. So if I click the iPad Pro name, this will bring us into the asset information to manage all of the information there. Another part of managing fleet company assets is fleet maintenance. And to reference any fleet maintenance, click the Company tab and choose Fleet Maintenance underneath Assets. This will bring you to your company fleet maintenance page in which all of your fleet assets will be listed. Here, because we only have one, the utility van, we can see the odometer reading, the miles since the last maintenance occurred, the last maintenance date, any notes related to the last maintenance, and we also have hyperlinks. And the hyperlinks can help us accomplish adding new maintenance, viewing the maintenance history, and viewing the return history. If you would like to add maintenance for the vehicle, simply click the Add Maintenance button. This will initiate a pop-up in which we can reference the date in which the maintenance occurred, the odometer reading when the maintenance was performed, and the cost of the maintenance as well. We can also upload attachments. This could be something like documentation of the maintenance or a receipt, and we can also enter notes of what the maintenance was for. Once we're ready, we can simply choose the Save and Close button and we'll be returned to the company fleet maintenance list. Here we can see our last maintenance date is 9/25 because that's when we last added maintenance for the vehicle. We can also see that the maintenance history by clicking View Maintenance History. In this pop-up, we'll be able to see previous times when we added maintenance for the fleet vehicle, as well as basic information, including who created the maintenance, the date in which the maintenance occurred, the odometer reading, and if we click the hyperlink for View Notes and Documents, we can view any uploads related to the maintenance history. We can also choose View Return History, and this will allow us to view when the asset was returned and checked out, as well as the mileage and odometer reading for that return history. As we explored in this lesson, you can perform a variety of functions ranging from checking out and returning company or fleet assets, referencing maintenance history, and reserving company assets so that you can keep track of all the company assets all in one easy solution like Striven.